Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's My name is John Iromo, and I'm here to welcome you to the Roundtable Talk with Jojo. Once again, it's another episode. It's been a while, but we've been keeping tab with things. Thank you for joining us. And today we are having an interesting session with Wofai Samuel. We're talking about breaking stereotypes, inspiring the African woman. Basically, let me tell you a bit about Roundtable Talk. It's an experience sharing platform where we just come to tell our stories. It's an informal setting, no hard and fast rule about it, no 5 ways of doing this, no 10 ways of doing that. It's just us telling, talking to ourselves about our experiences and ensuring that those that are listening can learn. And you also have the benefit of asking questions and contributing. So it definitely is an experience sharing platform, and it's actually been an avenue. We've been adding value to lives. We've been actually building lives across over the last 12 to 16 months since we started, and the feedback has been amazing. So this evening, we'll be having another session with our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is already here, Wufai Samuel, and I want to assure you that indeed it's going to be an inspiring session. So if you're here and you can hear me, just type 111 in the chat box. That will represent you, indicating that you can hear me, and as well indicating that also appreciating our speaker. So once you go, just type 111 in the chat box, appreciating our speaker that is here to speak with us, and as well confirming that you can hear me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I can see, let the ones go out there. Thank you. Thank you. I want to believe a lot of other persons will join us as we progress. Thank you. Thank you. If you're just joining us as well, the link to our YouTube channel will be displayed any moment from now. You can also do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can, on that channel, you have access to the videos that we've done in the past, the sessions we've had in the past. Thank you very much for confirming. Okay, right away we go. Before we progress, I would just like to do a brief about our guest speaker. Okay, Wofai, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, quickly, I'd just like to do a brief about the speaker. Okay, profile reshaping the future of the continent. Wofai Samuel is an internationally diversified communications professional with demonstrated people and projects skills gained in multiple senior positions of private sector and social sector service. She's a communications tutor at the American Corner, Publicity Secretary, United States Government Exchange Alumni Association, communications chair for President Barack Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative 2021. She was nominated for an honorary doctorate degree in leadership and management from Commonwealth University of London. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in zoology and environmental biology, and an advanced diploma in HR and organizational management from the University of Lagos. Fantastic. Wofai Samuel, thank you for joining us this evening. We are pleased having you, and we are too sure that we'll be able to glean from your wealth of experience. Now, what are we talking about this evening? We're talking about breaking stereotypes. And what are stereotypes? Stereotypes are general beliefs that we hold to be true, even when there's no basis for such beliefs. Now, for example, we have certain preconceived notions about tribes in this country. We believe certain things about the Yoruba people. We believe certain things about the Hausa people. We believe certain things about the Igbo people, which generally maybe could be true or literally could not be true, definitely. So these are just biases that don't hold water, as it were. It doesn't hold any foundation. Now, just as we have such beliefs, which over time is being transmitted or is being communicated from generation to generation, being passed across, so we also have gender stereotypes. Now, we also believe that there are certain things that men can do that women cannot do. We have this belief that there are certain things that women can do that men cannot do. These are all stereotypes. These are just belief systems. Now, however, looking at it closely, right? Certain research work has been done around this. So quickly, let me just read from the work of Catherine Kaufman. And she said here that Catherine Kaufman says researchers believe gender stereotypes hold women back in the workplace. Kaufman's research adds a new twist. They can even cause women to question their own abilities. Now, for me, this is my personal belief. I believe that nothing should hold anybody back, right? Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, you have the potential to be at your best. But that being said, we all know that in Africa here, there are certain beliefs that hold us back. And one of the challenges, I was listening to someone today, and he said he has sat down to think about the challenges of Africa. And one of the major challenges we have here in Africa is our mindsets. We have a terrible challenge. I feel sometimes is a disease that is plaguing Africa. Our mindset is, you see, sometimes personal interest oversees it. We always place personal interest above organizational interest, above national interest, hence where we always are at every point in time. We are unable to progress, we're unable to move ahead. Now, that's not what we're talking about today. We're trying to narrow down our focus into gender stereotypes. What holds women back? Now, we're here with Wofai, and Wofai will be giving you the opportunity to please break down this topic for us. Now, in your own perspective, what do you think are stereotypes? What are these stereotypes we are talking about? Generally speaking, what are these stereotypes that are commonly believed about women? Over to you, Wofai.
Okay, thank you very much once again, Jonah, for this opportunity to be part of your program. This is a great platform. I must commend you. I must say that you're doing quite a remarkable work. You're doing quite an amount of remarkable work, putting out this content online, putting out this content
Thank
real
you.
time to people for them to learn about culture stereotypes, learn about what's the word now? Learn about various challenges that our society is saddled with. Now, to respond to your question very directly, so when you talk about gender stereotypes, it is not a problem that only Nigeria is faced with. Like you have said, for the most dominant part of Africa, gender stereotype is a thing. Globally across the world, gender stereotype is a thing. Now we see that the very first female DG at the World Trade Organization (WTO) emerged from Nigeria after so many years. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Kamala Harris became the vice president in the United States after so many years. The fact is, the world is waking up and realizing that there's indeed a challenge and a real-time issue called gender stereotype. And to a reasonable extent, there's been a lot of collaborations, there's been a lot of attention put on the issue to correct them. But now, setting the tone for this conversation, having made that clear, gender stereotypes have been existing for as far back as creation. I mean, I don't want to go religious now because I'm sure there's diverse people from different kinds of religion who are joining the program. But as far back as creation, if you look through any religion, be it Hindu, be it Islam, be it Christianity, be it Buddhism, there's more preference given to men than there's preference given to women. Men are seen as the most superior being comparable to women. Now, it is not a competition. Nobody's trying to be more superior than the other. What women are mostly clamoring for is that collaborativeness. We should be able to collaborate instead of compete. We should be able to collaborate instead of boss one another or boss ourselves to say this gender is more superior to the other gender. So, like I did establish, gender stereotypes is something that has been existing from creation, but like people would always say, like the saying goes, change is constant. It is okay to evolve. And so I'm glad that the world is focusing on the conversation to evolve gender stereotyping amongst women.
Thank you very much, Bufai. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Now, Commit Me will be zeroing on you a little bit. Looking at your profile, we've seen you've grown over the years, and we've seen you've risen from what we can see. So now, what were those stereotypes you met on your career path, and how did you overcome them? Because basically, what we want our listeners to be able to learn from is what did you do differently? Did you actually encounter this along the line? If yes, how did you overcome it?
Thank you very much, Jonah. So I seize every moment to tell people to research a bit about me. I tell people to Google me, read about me, and if you think you like what I do, you can always connect with me. So the profile that has been read to you by Mr. Jonah was specifically given to him by me, and I was able to focus on my social career, my social profile, because this is more of a social philanthropy side. We're talking about societal issues, not necessarily not necessarily work, official organizational career. So if you research about me, you would see what I've been able to do organizational wise. So kindly permit me to divert a little bit into organizational career instead of social career, because I do not think
Absolutely.
realistically I've been
Awesome.
saddled with a lot of issues socially. Now, for social career, I served rather previously as the communications chair for a platform that was put together by the former President Barack Obama of the US, that's Young African Leaders Initiative. I served as the female communications chair. Now, excluding that, I rose from being a female communications chair for that platform to the United States Government Exchange Alumni Association, which is like an umbrella body housing all the exchange organizations and associations that's been put together by the USA. What we mean by exchange association is people who are sponsored by the United States from Nigeria for scholarships. As long as you're sponsored from Nigeria to the US for scholarship or for any sort of program, you belong to an exchange program. So exchange, you bring people here and you take people from there. You take people here to the US. You bring people from the US down here. Now I'm responsible for the association that houses all of these exchange alumni bodies and alumni programs. I'm responsible for them as a publicity secretary. I'm just giving you a brief into my profile, like socially. The last two things I would want to say is most recently, I was a part of the Young Africa Media Fellowship. I've become a fellow, and my group emerged as one of the best. To round this up, I also got nominated for a doctorate degree by the University of Commonwealth in London, United Kingdom. Now, I didn't face I haven't faced so many challenges rising to the rung of the ladder socially. And that's because when you talk about socially, we're talking about leadership, you're putting together platforms that educate us on leadership, we're learning. But when it comes to organizational excellence, when it comes to your career, the career you're trying to build officially in an organization, you cannot escape gender stereotyping. The reason why I said you cannot escape gender stereotyping is because the mindset in the organization is men are wired to perform more brilliantly, more excellently than women. So for you to be able to deal with this, you have to beat down that stereotype, that expectation. So organizational wise, for War 5 Samuel, it's not been easy at all, right? So many people are actually of the opinion that you rose through your career in the communications field at a very young age, and your career has been very progressive in a short space of time. No, I've been in the system from when I was 15 years old, precisely 2005. That's when I started my career on TV as a communications person. Prior to that, I was doing a lot of things behind the scenes, modeling and so on and so forth. So I had always been in the public eye. Now, some of the challenges that I faced while I was rising through the rung of my career, of course, I'm still rising, I'm not there yet, is instead of hiring me as a woman, people would rather hire a man who has the same skill as I am. Sometimes I'm even more competent than them. And I do not really blame them for so many reasons. One of such reasons is as a woman, you are distracted by so many societal issues. You're distracted by, the fun fair. You're distracted by the fancy things of life. So your attention span is slim. People never really wanted to hire me because I was a woman when I first started. Like hire me as a TV presenter, to name a few. I had to go the extra mile. And what I mean by the extra mile is I had to build my confidence. I had to build my personality. I had to research. I had to build my mind. What do people want to see? What makes this man tick? How can I be as thick as this man without necessarily coming around or coming along as being masculine? Women need to understand that. So the field I'm currently in is trade, investments, oil and gas. I do more on trade, investments, oil and gas. So I want you to figure out something. Think about yourself as a woman in Nigeria, in Africa, on the globe. And then you're in a woman in a field that is predominantly male. So for communications, whether you're talking about MCs or so on and so forth, what you predominantly see on stage are males. Whether you talk about external relations, it's only recently that the field is beginning to change. You're getting to see more females. So think about yourself as a woman in a male-dominated field. And as though that is not enough, think about yourself as a woman who is small. I'm actually very small. As if that is not enough, think about yourself as a woman who is in a male-dominated field, small and black, because my audience are mostly international. So almost all my life I've related, and my clients, so to speak, are mostly international. So if I have worked with 20 organizations, I think 18 of them are international organizations and two of them are Nigerian organizations. So when I say international, it could be Africa, it could be out of Africa, but I've predominantly worked with organizations out of Africa. So think about yourself as a woman. Then you think about yourself as a small woman, so to speak, small woman, like, a lot of small people. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is not such a huge giant. So people in that regard, with due respect. So think about yourself as a woman, as a small woman, and then you're thinking about yourself as a black woman. So not just as a Black woman. So there's so many people, like there's Black Americans, there's Europeans that are Black, there's Indians that are Black. Now, I am not Black American, I am not European, I'm not British. I have like a conk Nigerian indigenous African accent. So now think about yourself as a woman, first of all, in a male dominated terrain, in a male dominated field, and then think about a woman that is small, as though that is not enough. You think about a woman that is Black. Now, as if the Black is not enough, because you could actually be Black American. Think about a woman that is Black and African in facing an international audience. So you're a woman, you're Black, you're small, you're African. Nobody really wants to listen to you. But the fact is, this is something you want to do. This is your passion. So you have to hone your craft. You have to hone your skill in order for you to appeal to this international audience. Now, I'm going to give you a very, very practical example. I once walked into an event that was taking place actually in Lagos. It was put together by an international organization. I'm not going to mention the name of this organization. The international organization had worked with me in the past. They gave me all the respect I deserve. But trust me, my Nigerian folks, so the men who were in the room who were Nigerians were very senior, were very, very like from, I'm not going to mention names of organizations, like I said, but they were from some of the most senior organizations in Nigeria, the people who control the money bag, so to speak. So they had their directors on the same table where I was seated. And then somebody walked into the room and said to me, "You cannot sit on this table." Whereas not knowing I was the keynote speaker for that event, the person said to me, "You can't sit down here." And I said, "Why can't I sit down here?" And he said, "Oh, you don't belong here. You're small, you're a woman and things like that. It's for my boss. My boss is not going to, my boss would not like to sit down around you." And I kept my cool. First of all, I'm not somebody who is easily intimidated. So I kept my cool. I just ignored it and I sat down there quietly. And then the organizers walked up to the person and said to the person, "She's our keynote speaker." So keynote speaker, meaning I'm speaking before your boss. So your boss is coming after I have spoken. And then the atmosphere changed, the ambience changed. He was apologizing to me, giving me his contact card, trying to, I'm like, "Don't worry, you're fine." It's a stereotype. People are already, sunk deep in that narrative, and it would take a lot to change the narrative. So it's no fault of yours, just let it be. Now that is on a minor scale, right? You get to review a situation where you're performing the same job with a man, you're even doing the job better than the man, but the man is getting paid more money than you are getting paid for that same job, right? Now, all of these things exist not because it's the fault of these people. There's gender bias, like knowingly and unknowingly, unbiasedly. There's gender bias. It's not because these people don't like you. It's just the fact that their mindsets have been programmed in a certain way about women. Instead of getting angry, I see a lot of feminists. I see a lot of people clamoring for women's rights, women equality. There has to be equity and so on and so forth. And I say to them all the time, as much as you put in all this energy to clamor for women's rights, as much as you put in all this energy to clamor for equity, it's a narrative that has been stuck on the minds of people globally. As a woman, you need to go out there and prove yourself. Prove yourself in a way that you don't come across as being masculine. I'm sure you look at me, I don't look masculine in any way. I don't dress like a man. I don't talk like a man. I don't act like a man. But my mindset is like a man, right? So you have to prove yourself to be at par, otherwise the organizations are not going to hire you. It's just a stereotype that has been existing from time immemorial, from the get-go, and it would take a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of talking, just like Jonah, you're talking on this program, a lot of other programs that are put together to expatiate on issues like this. It would take a lot of talking. We might not even enjoy the benefits. It might be our children who will be coming, who will be able to who will be able to enjoy this benefit. But we have to keep the subjects and conversations going on. And away from that, we must build capacity to show that we can deliver just as much as the men can deliver. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was awesome. That was quite insightful. Now, if I heard you clearly, what you practically did was so basically it's for you to just hold your skills, right? Build your confidence level and break any barrier you see. I think the first thing is the mindset for the woman. Basically, I think it's the mindset for you telling yourself, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I think that I can achieve it, irrespective of like who you listed. Black. Now, you didn't add the last part you didn't add was you being Nigerian as well. It's not, with
Oh
all
yes,
the
sorry, I'm so sorry I
negativity.
skipped that. Please just permit me to chip in a word on that. So I
All
don't
right.
know if I would say being a Nigerian has been my biggest blessing. I don't
Okay.
know, because to some extent it's been a drawback for a lot of people. But life is what you make it. Life is really what you make it. So being a Nigerian as well, like you're black, you're African, you're a woman, you're small, and you're a Nigerian. You're trying to talk to international audience to buy into your craft, to hire you for services. So the Nigerian factor as well also contributes. So how are you now able to keep this international audience on top of their seats, on top of their toes? How are you able to do that? It's a lot of time, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of practice, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of intentional work. There's hard work and there's intentional work. So you wake up every day, every morning, you go to work, 9 to 5. That's hard work. Like you're working so hard. But while you're at the office, what are you intentional about? How do you want to be viewed by the organization? How do you want to be viewed by the external world? So I am a very intentional person. I've been very, very intentional about breaking the stereotypes that surround women. I'm very professional. Sorry, Jonah, just before you go into the next question. If you're a woman and you're given a job, there's no excuse. So I see people have jobs. Personally, I feel very irritated. You have a job and you're taking care of a child. I'm hearing the child crying on the background. How highly unprofessional it is. So a man doesn't have a child who's crying on the background during my meeting. So why should I tolerate the fact that there's a child crying at the background, distracting my meeting, just because you're a woman? So if you think the child is a distraction, then you shouldn't be on that platform, because nobody entertains excuses. If you have to compete in the world where we're in today, you excuses are never entertained. Excuses are never welcome. So I see people making a lot of those excuses. Oh, I have to take my child to school. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. Then you're absolutely not ready. Like you are absolutely not ready. There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. Whether or not you're taking time out of work to cater to your child for 1 2 years, and then you're returning to work, or you're handing your child over to a nanny or someone else to care for the child, and you're focusing on work. When I start having kids, by the grace of God, in my mentality, I would not take my child to work. Like I would make time out of my career, out of work, to focus on my child. So when I'm back to work, I know that I'm fully back to work, because like I said, there are no excuses whatsoever to be unprofessional. The reason why the more we give excuses for unprofessionalism, you're coming to work, you're coming with a baby, the baby is running back forth, making noise, crying. You hardly see men do that. And then the woman gives the excuses of, okay, there's nobody to take care of the child. Nobody's going to take you seriously. The next time somebody wants to hire you, they're scared. I'm still going to talk about certain measures that the government organizations can put in place to curb such kinds of circumstances. But in the first place, I just want us to understand that you should stop giving excuses. Men don't give excuses when they have to do jobs. Men don't give excuses when they're called to perform optimally. So as a woman, no excuses are welcomed if you have to compete favorably and if you want to strive for organizational excellence and break the stereotype.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a hard one. I'm very, very sure some persons here will come at you for that last comment. But let's see how it goes. It's a conversation, but I think I'm loving where it's going to take us to eventually. Now, I like the fact, I like the way you just rounded up, right? And I think some questions will come out from there. So if you have questions, just drop it in the chat box. We're going to take it at the right time. Now, the next question is, I think you basically covered it. We want to know what kind of stereotypes you met on your career path as, and how did you overcome them. I think you have mentioned some of that, but if you think there's more to it, then you can. The floor is yours.
Sorry, could you take that again?
Okay, so we want to know what stereotypes you met on your career path and how you overcame them.
Okay,
So I think you've mentioned a bit of
sure.
that, but if there is more to it, then you can go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Let me delve into it in details. So a lot
Okay.
of women, okay, it's personal to me. So some of the stereotypes that I encountered on my while I ventured into my career and I was rising through the ranks and file was the fact that, number one, like I mentioned, people were not ready to hire me because I was a woman. So for a woman who's dealing with an international audience, how do you cope with that? Okay, number one stereotype: women are, to a reasonable extent, always seeking for attention. So it's a norm, it's a given. So when people talk about women, they just feel women like attention. So the hiree, so to speak, the organization, the platform is assuming that if I put Wi-Fi on my platform, she might come for my event or she might attend this meeting, and the next thing she's doing is she's trying to seek attention from people. So the event is going on, and you're not done with your job, you're exchanging contact cards. People look at women in that light. I know it sounds very degrading, very disrespectful, but the point is the world sees women as attention seekers. Now, how was I able to change that? I made an intentional effort. I made a conscious move for the first 5 years when I attended events, not to exchange contacts with anybody. Now, it's not because the organizers already told me, oh, when you attend our event, you're going to be exchanging contact cards. No, nobody told me that. But I already knew at the back of my mind that these people felt when you come for these events, when you come for these conferences, when you're working, you move around exchanging contact cards when the events are going on, because it's what women are stereotyped with. So for a while, for so many years, I would never talk to anybody while I was on stage, moderating an event or doing anything until the event is over. I don't talk to you. I don't care if you're my mother. I don't care if you're my brother. I don't care if you're my boyfriend or whoever it is you are. Once I'm in that hall and I'm in that venue, I don't talk to you. I don't see you. I don't notice you. I don't want to know anything about you. I'm there with my script, my job, the organizers, and that's it. And so once the event is over and I say my thank you and goodbye, I'm giving everybody a hug, I'm exchanging cards, I'm talking to people. You've been able to break a stereotype. Okay, this girl can be this focused when she's at work, ignoring all the distractions, ignoring all the trappings of trying to be familiar with people, exchanging contacts because you feel like you want to expand your network. That's something that's very difficult to do, but that's something I've also gained mastery on. So I did that for a while. So that was one of the stereotypes I faced. People thought, women attention seekers. Now, I'm excluding that in so many other job opportunities that I had, because I've been a newscaster. I've been like in different areas of communication. I've been a newscaster. I've done external relations. I've done like corporate communications. People do not want to hire you because they feel like as a woman, you would always give excuses. They felt like I would always give excuses not to do the job. She cannot be good at the job. How will she walk into an office and try to convince people? She might come back to us. That's an experience that I had. She might come back to us telling us, oh, this man tried to sleep with me. Oh, this person made advances on me. Oh, this person said they like me, or things like that. I knew that was a stereotype that I needed to break. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations will not hire you for marketing roles most times if they feel like you cannot deliver. So people feel a man delivers better than a woman. And for a woman, they feel like, okay, your looks, your body, and everything is a good selling point for you. I wanted to change that narrative. I wanted to change that stereotype. So what I did is intentionally and practically, when I go to offices, I'm a very focused person. Again, like I always say, I'm very intentional. So I'm having a conversation with anybody. My conversations are focused on the job. Mind you, number one, I have the skill. Number two, I've been trained. Number three, I have the experience. So you cannot just flaunt money or whatever it is at my face, thinking, okay, you don't deserve the job, so I won't give you, but I'm just giving you because I feel like, oh, you need the job or something. No, I'm bringing skill that other people are not bringing on the table. I'm giving you a million and one reasons why you should hire me for the job. If you do not hire me for the job, then you're losing. Yes, I'm losing the money, but you are losing the expertise. You're going to get somebody who cannot do the job half as good as I am, right? So that whole narrative of, okay, she might walk into an office and she comes back complaining about, sexual harassment, um, what's the word now, advancement at hand, so on and so forth, was something I equally faced. So people would always say to me, okay, so you're supposed to be intersecting with major organizations. How are you going to deal with that? How do you deal with the fact that you're going to be talking to a lot of men in very highly profile positions? And I say this is what helped me. How you portray yourself is how people relate with you. So it's just like there's a saying that goes, dress how you want to be addressed. So I don't walk into an office seeming like I want attention, or seeming like I'm there for jokes, or seeming like I'm interested in talking to you, the CEO, to be my friend. No, I'm not there for that. I'm there for business. I'm there to negotiate business with you, get my money, and go away. So because I haven't put out that aura of friendship, that aura of relationship, it doesn't make it easy for you to approach me. It doesn't make it easy for you to talk to me about anything that is totally off my radar. That's how I was able to overcome that stereotype that women face. So sexual advances, admiration from the male folks. Most times you spend the most part of your time focused on that instead of focusing on what exactly you went there to do. And most times you realize that you do not achieve your goal. Things that are given to you are not given to you out of merit. They're given to you because of, some level of favoritism or the other. It's, to some extent, I'm not blaming the women totally, but also think about it. What kind of aura do you exude when you walk into these offices? Do you make them realize that you're a thoroughbred professional and a business person who understands what you're doing? Same thing when you're talking to all of these men in high places and CEOs. I dare say I have never been harassed by a man. I know it sounds very, what's the word now? Very unbelievable, very unrealistic, but nobody has ever harassed me. at least in the later part of my career. Probably when I started and I was a child, like I was really young. I started at, this whole thing at 14, 15. Once in a while, people talk to me like, oh, you're beautiful. I like you. I want to date you and things like that. But I make it very clear to them, I'm not interested. This is not why I'm here. If you're not giving me the job, then let it be. And it worked for me. Like it worked real time for me. So again, I'm not holding forth to say it's the same thing that works for everybody. I'm only saying if you deal with that kind of stereotype, then think about how you can magnify your image as a business oriented person, as a corporate minded person, as somebody who is there for business and nothing else. If you have to do anything with anyone, then it should be out of your own volition, not because people have put you in a compromising situation that compels you to do that thing. So that's number two stereotype. Then the third one, the third stereotype I also want to highlight that I faced when I started my career up until now is you walk into an office and people get to read your profile. There's Google everywhere. People Google you, they see who you are and things like that. Now, but back in the days, there was really nothing like Google. Like some 10 years ago, I didn't have access to Google. I didn't have the privilege of Googling people to see who they are and things like that. So in my early formative years slash mid years, people didn't have the opportunity to check out what I do, like Google me, see me. So there's this stereotype that what finds a man. So you hear my name. My name is already a masculine name, although it's for females from my indigenous region. So people hear Wafi and they assume that you're a man. That's a stereotype. I do that as well. So I am inviting somebody and I say, oh, this person, how are you, sir? Over the phone, because I haven't heard you talk. I already assume that it's a man because the man is occupying this position, right? I still did it a few weeks ago. That's why I said gender stereotyping is an unconscious bias. I did it unconsciously, and the lady had to say to me, "Oh no, I'm a lady." I was introducing her somewhere, and I said, "This person, this person, this person, he." And when she came on stage, I apologized. I sincerely apologize to her and everyone else. So this is something that happens every other time unconsciously, and that's something we must try to change. Now, how is this possible? You're calling Wi-Fi. Make the efforts. Applies to me as well. Make the effort to inquire if this person is male or female. You can't just sit down and assume that everybody who's successful is male. So when people hear Wi-Fi, they assume the name is male. They assume it's a man. So people keep addressing me as he, Mr. Okay, around this particular point by saying you're introducing me to someone and giving the person my mobile number, asking them to probably reach out to me for something. And the person writes me a message on WhatsApp and is saying, Mr. Wafi. Whereas you've seen my picture, my profile picture is clearly female. That's one thing I don't quite understand about people. Why do you find it hard to believe that the lady on the picture is the person you're talking to? Two things. Number one, she's young. You feel like this person cannot be this young. It possibly can be her. It possibly can be this person who has all of this, so to speak, milestone, mileage, who has covered all this mileage, number one. Number two, probably it's not female. Let's just play safe and assume it's a man. Then the other thing is you see emails. I do that a few times, of which I'm making conscious effort to change. When you're sending email to an organization, automatically you address your email as dear sir. When you're sending random emails, you don't say dear ma. Then if you want to be nice and fair, you could go a bit extra to say dear sir slash madam. I always advise people to place it, dear sir or madam, because we automatically assume that the people who are in these highly exalted positions are men. Now, the final stereotype I'd like to say I faced when I was rising in my career, mid-career up until now, is we're pitched for a job. So myself, a man, different people are pitched for a job, and because they've seen this referral, this person has referred Wafi, but Wafi is female. So because Wafi is female, Wafi has to wait aside. Let's talk to the men first. So they talk to the men and they feel more comfortable talking to the men before they now talk to you. But at the end of the day, I've told you one thing stands you out. You must build capacity. You have to prove yourself. You have to show that you can also deliver as much as the men can. So after the interviews with the men, they get to interview me. They say that, okay, there's not much of a difference. Probably she's even better than the men. Or even if the men are better than her, the percentage is not so conspicuous. And so they're giving us equal chances, equal chances. If the man is not good enough, you're out. Wafa is doing the job. I've been to several interviews. I've done several auditions. I've done several job pitches where I took the job instead of the men. I took the job instead of a man. So the world is gradually evolving. We're not there yet, but like I did mention, Jonah, you're pushing the conversation. A lot of people are pushing the conversations like you were doing, and subconsciously, it's registering in the minds of people that women need to be given equal opportunities. The final thing I want to say is a CV lands on your table, or a job application lands on your table, or a request for a role lands on your table, you don't necessarily need to say, oh, because she's a woman, is she qualified? Do you think she can do the job? No. Let's put away the bias. Come for the interview. Let me have a word with you and then sample your opinion. What is your perception? What is your mindset? What value are you bringing to the table? Can you possibly deliver? Not, do you think this person is qualified because she's a woman? Do you think she can do the job? First of all, you need to get rid of that preconceived idea and notion. So I also made sure people got rid of that preconceived idea and notion about me. So I would always say to them, when I submit my application for a job, or I submit my request for a job, whatever it is, instead of looking at it and wondering if this woman can do it or she can't do it, give me equal opportunity with the man and let me prove myself. If it means you telling people that, openly telling people that, you have to. I did that. So you're asking me practical examples of what I did. I did that. There were times I had to tell people, I need to prove myself. I need to prove myself. If you want me to prove myself, please give me the opportunity to prove myself. And if I disappoint you, please don't come back. If it means you speaking up in that manner, you have to. Sorry, I keep saying this is the last. This is the very final one, very recently. So I tutor at the American Corner, right? So the American Corner gave me an opportunity to tutor. Initially, it's not something that I do. Like I said, I'm more of a career-oriented person than social philanthropy. So social philanthropy is something I recently started. I only started in 2019-20. Now, they were not very confident putting me as a tutor because this is not your line. You are more of a career organizational person. But when they gave me the opportunity, I knew I had to prove myself. This is the United States you're talking about. They're asking you to come and train people. It's going to be live, streaming live at the US consulate. They're going to be watching it there. Diplomats are going to be watching. A lot of people are going to be joining from all over Nigeria. How do I prove myself? How do I prove myself so they don't feel like it was a mistake giving me that platform? I had to research and research and research, watch videos, ask questions. I went there over and again, asked the organizers. I was practically disturbing the organizers every minute, every second. Why? Because I just wanted to put out a good show. And on that day, my dear, I had to put out my best. And while the event was on until it was over, I kept getting recommendations. I kept getting commendations from them. It was no longer about woman, man. I was the only woman. I was the only woman in that MOOC camp. I was the only woman who tutored American Corners audience during the MOOC camp. Everyone else was a man. Why were there no women? I don't blame the people who organized it. Probably women did not apply. Probably women did not come forward to present themselves as though they could tutor. On the other hand, for the fact that there's not been so many women doing these things, they don't feel confident giving those opportunities on a platter to women. But who knows? Because I had done that and I did it well, subsequently, they could consider other women to say, okay, I think Wofa did it and she did it so well. Let's see if this person can do it. Let's just give this person a chance. Now it's up to you when you're giving that chance to prove yourself. I'm sorry, no disrespect, it's about capacity. If you cannot prove capacity, nobody's going to hire you. So don't think because you're female and you're beautiful. I see a lot of people in Nigeria use that, you're beautiful, you're female, you have a good body, you feel that's going to get you a job. You feel that can only take you so far. I'm not saying it doesn't work for a lot of people, but ultimately you have to prove capacity. There's no shortcut. There's no favoritism for you because you think you're a woman. You can get whatever you want, even if you don't have capacity. I'm sorry, my dear, my darling sisters. The world is changing and changing rapidly. It's a world where capacity and skills are a great deal on top of the ladder. Capacity, skills, your network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wufai. You said a lot. Skills, training, experience, be intentional, be business-minded, build capacity. But now, you'll agree with me that, yes, I like the fact that you started your career quite early. You are intentional. You see, from what I've been able to learn over time is not everybody, even if they have this kind of mindset, will be able to push the narrative just the way you've pushed this so far. You are good. So I'm thinking, is it possible, or did you get any form of support? Did you come up with all of these yourself? Was there somebody? Were you having a role model? Was there somebody you were looking up to that helped shaping your mindset, or was this just you from the beginning? Because I'm thinking, because what I know in dealing with people is not everybody have the strengths that you have. We have phlegms, we have cholerics, we have melancholies, we have sanguines. Do you get? So not everybody will be able to function the way you're functioning, even if they desire the status, even if they desire everything you've just said, they might not be able to function. So is there a support group? Is there, how did you arrive at this? How did you come about this mindset? Were you looking at somebody, was there a role model or something? Can you just please share so that we understand clearly?
Okay, thank you very much. So I always like to answer questions setting backgrounds. That way people can relate better. Nobody's going to give you opportunities for free in the world we're in. You have to take the opportunities by force. 99% of the time.
Absolutely.
So what I mean by
Absolutely.
force is
100% I agree with you.
you're not going to sit down in your house because you're a computer engineer and you're getting laptops for repairs when you don't put yourself out there, you don't talk to people. Remember I mentioned network. Now, network is not only about getting the jobs. Network also has to do with who are you following? Who are you trying to be like? Very important. Who you chose as your role model is very important. I had a few people I admired when I was a child, and I aspired to be like them. So, to a very great extent, everything I do was tailored in that line. Now, I'm a corporate person, but funny enough, there were not necessarily corporate people that I admired because as a child growing up in Nigeria from a middle class family, you don't have access to all the big TVs in the world where you get to watch CNN, you watch international stations. The only station we had was NTA. I didn't want to be like the newscasters on NTA, to be honest. I felt like they were drab. I felt like they were not fun and they were not interesting. So I used to watch Nollywood movies as a child. Yeah, I wanted to be like some of the Nollywood actresses, not necessarily their personalities, but I wanted to be like as beautiful as they look and things like that. Now, the people you aspire to be like, the people you watch, you aspire to be like, to a reasonable extent, influences a lot of things you do. Don't let anybody deceive you. It influences you. You are. Show me your friend, and I'll tell you who you are. So the people you want to
Absolutely.
be like influences your decision, influences your lifestyle, your daily pattern. To answer your question very directly, were there people who supported me? Certainly, no man is an island. So it's. I hear a lot of people talk about self-made. I'm self-made. I'm self-made. I'm self-made. Yeah, that's nice. It's a good narrative, but no disrespect. I'm sorry, I don't buy into the perspective of self-made because for anybody on earth, somebody gave you a ladder to climb. I mean, you were born as a child, and from being a child, you grew up to an adult. You learned to work, to crawl, and so on. Somebody held you when you fell. As a child, you stood up, you continued working. So the input from other people into your life that has made you successful might be very minute, might be insignificant. It might be not visible. It might not be visible, but it doesn't mean they didn't contribute to making you who you are. It doesn't mean they didn't put in their 1 inch to move you to the 10 inches where you are today. Again, note the difference. Some people have contributed significantly, some other people have contributed invisibly, irregularly, sparingly. So it doesn't seem like they've done so much. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. A lot of people supported me when I was growing up. There were times that some very terrible things happened to me as a child where I felt very disappointed in myself. My mother was always there for me. That's number one. I think my mother was my biggest support system. The world never really believed in me. I keep saying to people, I want to get to a stage and a point where I can come out and tell the world my stories. Sometimes even your family doesn't believe in you. And so when I talk about family, I'm talking about extended family. It's rare to see your immediate family not believe in you. It's very rare. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. See the case of Annie Macaulay and her brother. Several times they've come out on social media to discredit her work, and I think nobody should ever do that for any reason, for whatever it's worth, as long as it's not a legal case. Blood is blood, family is family. You don't discredit your own. Now, I'm not talking about immediate family. Sometimes your extended family don't even believe in you. It feels like you have a dream and the dream is too big. I always wanted to be international. That's a given. That's for a fact. I always wanted to face an international audience. I always wanted to be in front of white people. I always wanted to travel the world and talk to people. I always wanted to break that stereotypes that Africans were bush, Africans were local, Africans were inexposed. I always wanted to break that stereotype. Nobody ever believed in me. People always saw me crazy. They always felt like, okay, this dream you had, it's always been my dream. It's not achievable. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Why do you think you can rise to that kind of level where you'll have international audience and international people listening to you? But I knew it was something I wanted to do. And my mother supported me. My mother never played down on my dream for once. So my colleagues, my classmates would go to school. I studied zoology. We're all zoology scientists, very serious with book, but I was multitasking, combining school. Another thing I want to tell people in this day and age, please don't, school is not your ultimate. Trust me, especially in Nigeria where we come from. School is not your ultimate. While you're doing school, learn to get a skill. And the reason is because if school fails, there's a skill. I never worked in Nigeria with my academic certificate, although I have a BSc. I worked with my skill. So please, if you're in Nigeria, have a skill by the side as much as you're doing school, because school might fail you. That's just the reality. So now a lot of people never believed in me, my lecturers, my teachers, they frustrated my efforts. It was more like, oh, you focus more attention on your skill, more like on your work, on your job as a presenter than on your studies. But the truth is, I wasn't lagging behind on my studies, right? To a reasonable extent, my first, second, third year, my transcripts are there. I was doing very well. I slacked on during my final year. So my studies were not suffering, but they just felt like you could do more, focus more on school. My mother was a university worker, right? But she gave me all the support I needed. She allowed me dress how I wanted to dress. She allowed me make friends with the kinds of people I wanted to be friends with. It doesn't mean you're going to throw caution to the wind and then you do whatever you want to do. No, 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 no. That doesn't work. You know where you're going, you know your vision. So you should try as much as you can to be responsible and disciplined so that you can achieve that vision. My mother was my greatest support system because she never criticized me. My mother never criticized me for the choices I made. She always assumed that I knew what I was doing. And so she let me. So she gave me that freedom. But your parents giving you that freedom does not mean you should misuse it, because at the end of the day, if you misuse the freedom and you do not become as productive as the society expects, the blame goes back to your parents. Oh, you let her free. Look at what has happened. See what she has turned into. So for the fact that you don't want to disappoint the person who has given you that freedom, you must try to prove yourself. That's number one. Number one support system I had, my mom. The second support system I had were my friends. So through my journey in life, I don't keep too many friends, right? I don't keep too many friends. I don't encourage people to keep too many friends. So what I mean by friends are people who are very close, people who are very close to you, like in your close knitted circle. So your acquaintances, you're close to everybody, but there's people you share your problems with. Please be very picky and be very choosy when it comes to your inner circle of friends. There have to be people who believe in you, people who do not criticize you, people who focus on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. So I had friends who were very, very encouraging, and they were older friends, both males and females. I'm never ashamed to say I had older friends who were males and I had older friends who were females. I never had any friend my age. So my friends were at least 6 years older than I was. There was something to learn from them. So imagine if I know people talk about age and things like that. I still feel age contributes to experience. So if you're older and you're not smart, or you're older and you're not a sensible person, well, that's your business. That shouldn't be the norm. So I made friends with people who were older. They were my greatest support system. Another inspirational support I got were books. I was more of a book person. So there were times where the world would abuse me. You talk too much. You, you're just extra. Everything about you is just extra. These are your international dreams and things. Nobody ever believed in me. And where would I always run to? I run to books and I run to songs. So when I say I went to books, I was always reading. We didn't have Google back in the days. I still do that even up until now. Now it's easier with Google. When I feel depressed or I feel challenged about something, I can easily go on Google and read about it. Okay, who are the people? Recently, I've been reading about a lot of people who have been in jail in the US. That's a story for another day. So you just go on Google and read about people you think have been through the same situation that you've been and how they surmounted it. Read about people who had the same dream as you. When you read about those people, you're going to read about their challenges. I'm going to give you a very weird example. I don't know if you all have ever heard of Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is a singer in the United States, right? I need you all to go and do a bit of research about Lady Gaga's story. So keep the whole, charade and her costumes and things. A lot of people think she's, on the other side. That's fine. That's a subject for another day. Just focus on Lady Gaga as a person, the travails, the challenges that she has had, the things that she had surpassed, what she did to become who she is. When she started, nobody ever gave her a chance. They felt like she couldn't sing, her voice was not good enough. Lady Gaga would always say she had to make phone calls to companies to hire her. And when she's making those phone calls, she acts as though she is the manager of Lady Gaga. Like she doesn't tell them she's Lady Gaga. The bottom line is, whatever it is you have to do to get the job, as long as you're not stepping on toes, as long as you're not stepping out of boundary and out of the line, please do it. So people like Lady Gaga, when I listened to her story and I saw all she went through to become who she was, were inspiration to me. And that's why I said the people I gained inspiration from as a child were quite odd, like not your usual kinds of people. Now, away from getting inspiration from books, I read about Lady Gaga from books. I got inspiration from music. So music is a pathway to your soul. Music goes a very long way to determine how you feel, how you act, and so on and so forth. There's times I listen to music and you feel very motivated. There's times I listen to music and you feel very depressed. With due respect to R. Kelly, I used to listen to a lot of R. Kelly while I was growing up, and I must be honest, it helped me a great deal. R. Kelly's music helped me a great deal because they were always very inspirational. When you listen to songs like I Believe I Can Fly, Hero from Mariah Carey, you listen to The Storm Is Over from R. Kelly, you listen to Kick Franklin's Lean on Me, and so on and so forth. I was always listening to those songs, and I knew that these were human beings like me who had gone through a lot and they surmounted all these odds to be who they are. And then now to talk about role models. Role models are very important. Everybody has a role model. There's somebody you certainly admire. Currently, the person I admire is Kamala Harris. I'm never ashamed to say it anywhere, everywhere. Kamala Harris, as of now, remains my biggest role model. I admire Kamala Harris so much. To be honest, I aspire to be like Kamala Harris. That's my next big dream. I want to be like Kamala Harris, right? If your role model is Kamala Harris is the vice president of the United States, first woman president the United States have ever had in more than 500 years. So if you aspire to be like Kamala Harris, how does Kamala Harris talk? How does she approach issues? You're not a stupid person to have risen to the point of becoming the vice president of the USA, right? I could easily say, okay, my role model is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Well, we have very varying personalities. I see myself in more of a Kamala Harris's personality than an Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. So when I was picking my role model as a child when I was young, as much as I admire everybody who has succeeded, I want to pick up a personality that I'm similar to. I want to pick up a personality that I can easily understand, a personality I can easily understudy. I know a lot of people used to talk about Oprah Winfrey, like people who are into communications. Oprah Winfrey was never really my role model. I like Oprah Winfrey a whole lot. Due respect to her, like I admire Oprah Winfrey a great deal, but I don't see myself fitting into an Oprah Winfrey's shoes. We don't have similar personalities at all. So I can't choose Oprah Winfrey as my role model. So that's the mistake a lot of people make. People just easily say, oh, role models, role models. But how come a lot of people who choose role models are nothing really close to the role models that they choose? One thing your celebrities and a lot of successful people will not tell you is when you're choosing role models, you need to choose role models that you think you're similar to. That way, it is easy to adopt to their style. It is easy. You're passionate to want to learn about them because you like them. You like their personality. You want to be like them. Like whenever I'm listening to TV, even if I'm asleep and I hear Kamala Harris talking, I'm sorry, I'll wake up from sleep. I want to listen to her. What is she saying? What is she saying today? What is new? That's because away from her being my role model, I like Kamala Harris as a person. So if you choose Wofi to be your role model and your personality type is not similar to Wofi's personality, you will be struggling. This is a secret I've never heard anybody tell people. But whenever I go on interviews, I take time out to give people real time practical steps, real time practical examples that you should apply. So if you say Lady Gaga is your role model, and Lady Gaga was never a role model. Like I said, I only used to listen to her stories. I used to read a lot about her. I don't aspire to be like her. So if you say you like Lady Gaga and you want to be like Lady Gaga, do you have Lady Gaga's kind of personality? You're going to struggle. It's only a question of time before you move away from Lady Gaga and you want a totally different role model. So for me, the people I really admire for now, and in the next couple of years, I want to see myself fitting into their shoes, are people like Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi in the U.S. House of Assembly, U.S. Congress, Kamala Harris, to name a few of them. And then let's trickle it down to Nigeria. People I really do admire in Nigeria. One of them is Amina Mohammed. Amina Mohammed, to name a few of them. So you have to be very, very intentional about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is also somebody I admire a great deal. I've admired Chimamanda from time immemorial. I see myself fitting into a Chimamanda's shoes if I want to go all African. So things that helped me surmount some of the pressures I had as a child growing up until now are, there must be that close person in your family you think you can confide in. And if there's nobody, that's absolutely fine. It is not compulsory that you must have people from your family you confide in. I keep saying it, Meghan Markle got married. The only person from Meghan's family who was present at the meeting was Meghan Markle's mother. Her father wasn't there, no brother, no sister. So it's okay if you don't have anybody from your family to confide in. It's not compulsory. But if you can find somebody close to you in your family you can confide in, that helps. It goes a long way. That's number one. Number two, the kinds of friends you keep. The kinds of friends you keep can make or mar you. Your network, your circle, you begin to think like them, you want to be like them, you begin to act like them unconsciously. So you must always try to make friends with people. Keep people in your circle who can at least move your imagination, your mindset from point A to point B. It's not about being discriminative. You're friends with everybody, but not everybody is in your inner circle. Now, away from friends, books. Please read, read, and read. You must read, like you can't escape it. You must read, you must research. One thing that stands me out is I know my data, I know my statistics. I read a lot. I don't even think I read enough, but I make an effort. I make a conscious effort to read. Somebody talks to me about something. I don't know what the person is talking about. What are they talking about? Once they are off, I go on Google, research, check, read. I want to get basic knowledge about that thing. So read about people you want to be like, read about the thing you want to do, know more about the subject matter, know more about that craft that you're involved in. Apart from reading music, never underestimate the power of music. Music is very, very key. away from music, role models. Who are your role models? Who are you daily watching and trying to be like? At this juncture, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Close family. You must get somebody in your family, friends, books, music, and a role model. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that insight. Now, we're almost at the top of the hour, and I just want to take contributions from some of us here. Thank you for joining us, Chinedu. Thank you, Bukola. Thank you, Basit. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you. Hey, we have Fire Williams here. Hey, I must, okay. I'm going to start with you, madam. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. And Fire Williams is okay, let me not say anything about her, but madam, can you just make a contribution? I'm happy to see you here. Thank you very much for joining. I know you have something to say.
Thank you very much, Jonah. Thanks for convening this. And I must say, Wufai Samuel has been amazing. I am really a proponent of women, stepping out and taking their own. I always say that in Nigeria, the way that women are not included at the decision tables, in the Senate, in the House of Assembly, the percentages are really woeful. Am I right, Wufai? Yes, the percentages are really small, very unlike what you have in a place in like Rwanda, where almost 65% of, the elective positions in the cabinet are being held by women. And we can see the development in Rwanda. So Nigeria is not firing on all its cylinders yet, because we don't have women, in the right places. So what WOFA is doing is phenomenal. She's encouraging women to stand up and stand out and be heard and be themselves and take their true position. And I just want to, reverberate that all across the nation. Everybody should listen to what she's saying, appointing a mentor, looking at books, having someone in the family, a good support system. My mother too was always there for me. I had to drag her to a bank to lend my first money. I had to take her there physically at over 70, I remember. And, so in those days, things were difficult. Now things are getting better. So we should also be able to, do more right now with the digital skills, like Wufai said, not just having your certificate, getting real relatable skills that can get you somewhere, skills that can get you a place on the decision table. So once again, thank you very much, Wufai, and thanks to all who have listened to her. Thank you to Jonah for convening this. You are awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Fire Williams. I think we should connect after this program. Jonah, I just want to say something really quick that is related to this subject matter, lest I forget. I'll be doing myself a great disservice. So recently, I anchored a conference for the Ministry of Petroleum that had in attendance the Honorable Minister of Petroleum, Chief His Excellency Chief Timi Silva, Chief Timi Silva, the entire NNPC board were in attendance. The Executive Secretary of NCDMB, Nigerian Content Development Monitoring
Board, yeah.
We're talking about gas, oil, all the charade about increments, oil prices. The decision and policymakers were on that table. It took me so many years to get to that point. The Ministry of Petroleum, NCDMB, I had always aspired to be in front of a Minister of Petroleum. You have to be patient, continue building your skills. So I had done so much internationally, but in Nigeria, have I been able to expertise?
Penetrate.
Have I been able to prove expertise? That's where your network comes into the picture. Somebody was able to recommend me, somebody I had worked with previously in a different African country, recommended me to NCDMB, and NCDMB pitched me as a moderator. And it was very amazing in the sense that when I was over and done with the event, the minister gave me a commendation.
Awesome.
The entire, bias of she's a woman, it's never going to come into the picture because they give you the opportunity and you prove yourself. The second thing I want to conclude by saying is, when you rise up the rung of the ladder, there's less women. So for instance, in oil and gas, there's less women in administrative positions, in senior positions. You find out that women are mostly in junior positions, cleaners, administrators. When it comes to the table where the decision is made, there are no women. You see, like distinguished Senator Chuba Okadigbo, Marjorie Chuba Okadigbo, is the first female NNPC board chairman. All the years of Nigeria, first time having a board board chairman as female. Now, because she's there as female, she can advocate for women. She
Hmm.
can make, yeah, she's the number one policy maker in the board. So she can
Mm-hmm.
put up initiatives that support women. But when there are no women on the board to advocate for you, what do you do?
What do you do?
Next best thing you have is your capacity. As
Mm-hmm.
much as Fire Williams has advocated that we have more women, which is actually very correct, we have to keep pushing out this conversation to ensure that we have more women on the decision table to
Yeah.
make a case for us. But check the women who are on some of these highly professional, highly skilled decision tables, especially in
Mm-hmm.
oil and gas, to name a few of them. They are qualified. Look at Okonjo Iweala.
Hmm.
Okonjo Iweala was a former minister. Come
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. So when you look at a lot of people who are on all these boards, to some extent, in as much as you have the recommendation, they have earned their places.
Oh,
So
yes.
for whatever career you have, please do not dream small. I tell
Mm-hmm.
people all the time, everything
Mm-hmm.
is possible. Every single thing is possible. As long
Agreed.
as you're with the right people. I'm very
Yep.
particular about network. Who are
Mm-hmm.
you who
Mm-hmm.
are you seeking help from? Who are you asking
Mm-hmm.
for assistance? Do they genuinely have your interest at heart? Do they
Yep.
genuinely see you grow? So you could be talking to me and I see you as a competition. Because you're a
Mm.
competition, I don't want to help you. So are you talking to your competitors? Are you talking to people who are very happy with how you are, your position? You're always coming to ask them for $5, 5 naira. They're comfortable seeing you that way. They want you to continue like that. Or people who recognize what you're doing, like what you're doing, and want to see you grow. Somebody helped me. Somebody recommended me for the NNPC moderation job. And trust me, it's been life changing. So your network is very key. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
Wofai. Thank you, Fire Williams. I'm glad to have you on this call. I didn't even know you were here. All right. Chinedu is the CEO of Kazi Kids. She's a phenomenal personality. Chinedu, do you have anything you want to say? Chinedu, are you there?
Yes, Janelle. Thank
Fantastic.
you for bringing in Wi-Fi. I'm happy I joined.
Wofai, I guess you can recognize Chinedu, right?
I actually have a code, and I'm happy that I joined
Oh,
that I
sorry
didn't
about
miss
that.
it.
Great.
I think I'm a victim of stereotype. My name is Chinedu. It's more of a male's name. I run a business that's male dominated. You get people say you act like a man because you're doing a man's business and you're thriving in it. And like she said, I think the first thing is yourself. You have to determine to break through. When I started Kazi Kids, we had a lot of challenges where people said, oh, you won't go far. You're a woman. How would a woman want to do security kits? It's for a man's role. And today, my business won a scholarship for Oxfam for doing far above what anyone would think that just an ordinary tailoring company can do. And that's because I worked hard and I was determined. What extra skills do most women have? They don't want to read. Like she said, when she has an event, she researches. People don't want to learn extra skills. They don't want to research. They want the easy way, and you're complaining that you're stereotyped. You have to be determined to get out of it. Thank you. The section was excellent. Let me say excellent. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Chinedu. Also, let's hear from Gospel. Gospel is a senior friend, a senior colleague in the security industry, over 17 years in this. Gospel, are you still there? Uh, okay. I think he's off the call. All right. Okay, so let's make it open now. Is there any comment, any contribution? We're at the top of the hour. I wouldn't want to drag this beyond an hour. Do you have any questions? Do you have any contribution? Quickly.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Wolfa, for that wonderful section and very educative and impactful. I know you've said a lot, and I think I've really achieved like a whole lot. And I'm glad I actually attended today's meeting. So one aspect that really cut me is the aspect of being like totally a professional, right? And you talked about like women having like kids around the background, having a baby crying and all of that. My question is, yeah, like for a lot of young and upcoming mothers, right? Yeah, you've been super professional in what you do. And, motherhood comes with a lot of changes, at times is not something you actually plan for, it just happens. And for me, I feel it's kind of a stereotype already. We know, like right from inception, there's this bond between a mother and a child compared to a father and a child, and then you've owned your space for a very long time. And then all of a sudden things are changing because you've started having children, you need to multitask and all of that. Um, I know it might be a little bit difficult for you to advise, like right now, since you said you don't have children at the moment, but what would be your advice for such women? Kind of their attention span is divided. You really want to do a lot, you really want to achieve in your career, but you still have the home front to take care of, because we know, like right from creation, there's this thing about a mother taking care of the children, or a mother having like 90% of her time to spend with the kids, and then try to balance both the home front and then career. What would be like your advice to such women? Because I know for people like Kunjiwela and all of the big names we hear now, they are above like that early stage. And I know like during their times, right, we had like mothers, we had families, there's this open system. You have even your neighbors could be of help. But these days, it's kind of difficult for you to even trust people and, get to leave people with your kids. But you really want to grow and you really want to make a balance. What would be your advice? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll take it in three ways. Just be a bit patient. I'll try to, be as brief as possible. So number one is, I'm a very big advocate for women, marriage, family. I aspire to be married someday. Certainly would happen, have kids, because I feel like if you've succeeded in your career, another thing you need to prove yourself in is the home front. There's no need, me working 24 hours, putting all of these things together, and I don't have children who can come to read about what their mother was able to do. It just doesn't make sense for me. I'm not an advocate for, because of your career women, you don't have a family, you don't get married. No, I'm not one of that. I'm not one of those. So it's very simple, very, very simple. I have been at meetings where people had children and there were lots of distractions going on, and it was managed. I'll tell you how it was managed. I've been at what's it called? I've been at scenarios where, okay, let me say this. I'm coming for a Zoom meeting, and it's compulsory that our cameras would be on, because you're facing ministers from various African countries and your camera is switched off. My camera is not on. Whereas there was a rule that says you're coming for this meeting, your camera should be on. How highly unprofessional am I? But nobody saw me as being unprofessional. You know the reason why? Prior to the meeting, I already sent an email or a text message to say, I'm having XYZ challenges, and because of that, my camera might be off during the meeting. So I've seen women who would send messages to say, oh, I have young kids, Hadiza Bala Ahmed Usman, the former MD of Nigerian Ports Authority. Her children are really, really small. But Hadiza, how does she manage to cope with all the meetings that she's attended that I was a part of? It's quite easy. Prior to the meeting, you already know the category of people you're dealing with. You send them a very, very succinct text and say, I have children between the ages of 1 to 3. And because of that, intermittently, I could be distracted during the meeting. I beg your pardon. Does that sound courteous at all? I'm putting the question back to you, Philomena. Does that sound courteous at all? Would it come to me?
Yeah, it does.
Would it come to me as a surprise if the meeting is ongoing and I'm hearing kids on the background, or if I even begin to complain, then I'm just being mean? Because this woman already took permission. This woman already put out her situation in a very, very succinct, in a very, 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 very liberal manner. Now, where the problem lies is you walk into a meeting, or we're having this meeting, and there are kids everywhere. There's a whole lot of distraction from you without prior information. no excuses. It's a bit rude. The world is evolving and changing. Just like you said, the days of our parents are not what we have now. It's a lot more detailed world. You don't just walk into a meeting or walk into an engagement or what for whatever it is with all of those distractions and then you're giving excuses. If you pre-inform people, it now depends on you to be able to know how to pass your message. Kitanji Jackson, the chief judge at the Supreme Court, would always highlight how her husband used to accompany her for some of the meetings she had in court. And on one of such sittings, I wanted to work her husband out. But she had already pre-informed them that this man is always accompanying me everywhere, especially when I'm working late. So he'll be seated somewhere at the back. So nobody could walk up to him to tell him, oh, you need to excuse us because she already gave you pre-information. So with the culture of work that's evolving today, it's a lot easier. People work virtually. Probably your office doesn't allow you work virtually, for instance. I don't know what kind of grumpy boss that would possibly be, where you tell him or her to say, okay, I have a bit of a challenge. My children are still, my child is 1 to 3, or my children are between the ages of 1 to 4. And as a result, I might be in and out intermittently. I need to attend to them because presently there's really nobody working for me. It is, you've made it official, it's done. But on your own part, you must also now try to deliver. You don't now say, oh, because typical example, I had a meeting a few days ago, and the moderator for a segment of the program was late because he had to take his child to the hospital. Very well understood. I reasoned with him. Oh, I'm so sorry. Morally, sorry. But he lost out on a lot of opportunities. There were so many people that were looking forward to his session and wanted to meet him. Okay, the child's mother is there at the hospital. If I were you, the mother is already there. Knowing how well you worked and for how many years you put in to get to this stage where you were able to moderate that section that had those caliber of people, I think you dropped your child off at the hospital. The child could stay with the mother for that period of time. It's not a life-threatening situation. Even if it's a life-threatening situation, let me tell you something. You send an email. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Although it sounds very unreal, but I actually did that. I lost my brother in 2017. May soul rest in peace, my immediate senior brother. I had a meeting with a bank. I don't like to give specific names. One of the biggest banks in Africa. They are one of the biggest banks. They are my clients. I had a meeting with them in Lagos. I was supposed to have a meeting with them the next day in Lagos. My brother passed yesterday. This is my brother. We share a bond. We've grown up together. He's been there for me all my life. I couldn't attend that meeting. Nobody got more emotional about me in respect to my brother than I was. I still miss him every single day. It's on my DP, it's on my WhatsApp, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. Up until date, my brother is still on my status. I had to send them an email. Mind you, my brother passed yesterday. My brother passed this morning, rather. My meeting is tomorrow. I'm having a meeting with that bank. It's a very big bank. The CEO of the bank and so many other people the next day. They flew into Lagos and part of the agenda was to meet with me. I picked up my phone in my emotional sorry state and I sent them an email. I can no longer attend your meeting tomorrow. My brother just passed. No sign of nothing, very short email. And that was all. And they felt very sorry for me. They were the ones who were now sympathizing with me like, oh, don't worry about it. The money we even paid you for the job, you don't have to do the work. Take some time off. In the middle of chaos and everything that happened, I was a bit professional. That's why I said people have to be intentional. It's not easy. It's a skill you have to build. It doesn't come up, it doesn't happen overnight. So even at the home front, like with your husband, with your children, house is house, the home front is the home front, personal is personal, work is work. You know you're having problems with your husband and you cannot make it to that meeting. It's very easy. Pick up your phone. You can't tell me because you have problems with your husband, you don't have time to go to the bathroom. At least you have 5 minutes during the day to go to the bathroom. While you're in the bathroom, just send that short email. Sorry, I can no longer make it for this meeting the entire week. I have some challenges I need to deal with. I can assure you, nobody will take it against you. But like I did say, it's not easy to build that skill. It's something that you have to grow over time. It takes intentional effort. I was groomed. Part of the reasons why it sounds like it's very easy for me is because I've passed through series upon series of trainings. I've passed through so many trainings. Like I'm currently undergoing a training right now by McKinsey. So when you go through all of these trainings, people are training you on how to work, how to intersect with people, how you can't afford to make mistakes. But for some other people, they might struggle because you're only listening to me. It sounds like easier than done, but you're not going through any form of training. If you train your mind and you're around people who think alike, somehow it makes the job, it makes the task easier. So irrespective of whatever it is you're facing, still try as much as you can to put an ounce of professionalism. Trust me, it goes a long way. How people perceive you matters a whole lot. You don't want people to perceive you as that woman who, because of your husband and children, because you're married, you don't have time for work. Your children are going to grow up someday. And that's the truth. I'm grown up now. I'm going to start my life someday. And my mother is totally off the picture. Your children are going to grow up someday and they're going to leave you. If anything ever happens to you, the world will move on. My brother passed and I'm moving on. Everybody's moving on. The world will not stop 1 minute for anybody. So as much as you have to take care of the home front, you have to take care of everything, please learn to also take care of yourself. It's very important. It is very, very important because the world will not wait for you. And at some point in time, everybody would move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Profile. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, so at this moment, I just want to find out if there is any other question. I don't want to take it further. It's actually an hour program, and we'll just take questions and comments. Do we have any other question? Do we have any other question or comment or contribution? Okay, just a recap while I wait for any other person that might want to say something. For those that joined us lately, if you didn't join on time, it's been an amazing session. We're talking about breaking stereotypes that inspire the African women. We are very, very much aware that a lot of stereotypes affecting growth of women in organizations. And Wofa has done a fantastic job telling us about her experience. Maybe what I'll just do is to send you the link of the video rather than recapping. That'll be best. So if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so. We'll send you the video. It'll be out within the next 24 to 48 hours. However, just to say a few things about what she said, please do not forget to be intentional. Be intentional. Training, build capacity, learn skills, learn new skills, real skills, and as well as maintain your close inner circle. Make it lean, don't make it so bogus. Read books, listen to music, and as much as possible, ensure your role model is someone that fits your personality. Thank you very much, Wufai, for this insightful session. It's been amazing. We've learned a lot, and I believe that the young ones here, Chinahe, do you have something you want to say? Chinahe, do you want to say something before we call it a day?
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, and our most senior personalities here. I recognize the existing order. So if you allow me to proceed. Sir, can I proceed?
Please do so. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Sophie Samuel. The truth is, I don't like to mix facts when I try to talk to a real audience because we experience real life, practical experience. So when you're saying this is how to go about something, there's a practical dimension to it. There's a realistic dimension to it. Aside from us being optimistic and yes, as a woman, you can do this. I want to, especially as regards that question asked by the other woman saying, you're a mother now, right? You're a mother now. I want to tell her that the truth is you're going to face challenges. Your challenge might be different from my challenge as a mother. And I want you to know that practically, you're not going to be exempt from life and the way life would play you its cards. But like they said, you hold the cards, then you are to deal in the game. So what I mean is, let me give you a very good example. You gave birth through CS and not normal delivery. Now, CS has its own peculiar ways of handling that kind of process. Normal delivery has its own way of, you have your way of handling that. The way you handle normal delivery is slightly different from the way you handle CS, that's cesarean section. It applies to when you're talking about your mother in a workplace. For me, how I chose to handle mine is to heavily rely on my support system. That is how I chose to handle mine. I realized that pride won't get me anywhere. Saying I'm tough, I'm that young lady, blah, blah. No, 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 no. I had to sit down and say, I have Mr. This, I have Mrs. This, I have Miss That. And I began to appreciate my support system because I realized that I have achieved this, achieved that, but I really achieved it based on my community. So as a mother, you need to sit back and reflect. God has given me XYZ person. Am I really valuing that person? Okay, I want to be a senator. I want to be the best in my department. But now I have a baby that calls my attention in the night. But I have a meeting by 8 a.m. How do I handle this? Hold up starts in my area by 4 a.m., 5 a.m., as early as that. How do I want to beat all these things together? So I don't wake up and say, I can do everything, I am everything. And then, the truth is I had to sit down and if the office says you can work from home, I'm saying, thank you, sir. I won't say, oh, I must go to the office and work. No, because they've given me a privilege. That's where I'm coming from, the dimension of privilege. Support system is a privilege that God has given. You need to open your eyes and see the people that God has given you. And if you don't have, someone asked me just a few seconds ago, what if I don't have my support system? What if truly I'm alone? What if truly I don't have a husband, I don't have a help, I don't have a sister, I don't have a brother, I'm in Lagos all alone, and I have my baby with me, and I have a Zoom meeting or I have whatever meeting, and my child is already crying. I think that I would have to tell that kind of person, just after that meeting, obviously it might not go well. Sit down and tell yourself the truth. How have I handled my past relationships to this point that I don't have a support system? Why? You see, God, I believe in God so much, and I believe that God can never leave you helpless. But God does not come in his person. He sends a voice. He sends a man. He sends someone somewhere from, you just realize, oh, this is my neighbor. Oh, so in that case, ordinarily, if she had a good relationship with her neighbor, what would she have done? Neighbor, please, I'm about to have a Zoom meeting in my house. Just help me look after this baby for just 2 minutes when I'm going to speak. And I'll go back, mute my call, put it back on video, and carry my child back. And when I am to speak again, I'll unmute, take my child where I should take the child. So I think in that circumstance, ordinarily, the lady will say, I have nobody to help me, right? But she has a neighbor. So I think the issue is, if you're a mother or you seem to have a special circumstance, so it doesn't just apply to motherhood, any special disability, you think you have a disability, the truth is you are not disabled. It's your perspective. I believe so much, I'll repeat that again, in support system. Look inwards. Why don't I have someone to help me? It seems like I don't have someone to put my head on, whose shoulder I can really rely on. It's your fault and you have to work on it. It's your fault. So I think in these things, I've also learned with my little experience that your support system could actually be that person that you think is your enemy. So I have a mentor in my workplace that doesn't take my excuses. And when I'm in the meetings with my other colleagues, they're like, this guy hates you. This man hates you. And if I listen to my colleagues, I'll really take a bias. But it was on a particular occasion, I went to meet him. I said, sir, what did I really do to you? And he said, nothing. I want you to be better. I want you to achieve your peak. I want you to, you have some character traits that I think you need to work on. And so as a mother, or as anybody with anything you think is a disability, I want you to look back and really check your support system. If you don't have, start working towards, it's a relationship, right? So start working intentionally to build friendships that matter. And if you're a Christian, I believe, if you're not a Christian, whatever you believe in, I respect it. But as a Christian, I spend my time praying concerning that particular matter, because like we all know, you need a recommendation. We all need somebody to lean on. We know that song. So I believe you can start right now to say, God, I need a support system. I need somebody. I need. So to round this up, I would just like to say to that mother there, you're not alone. And if you really feel alone, if you feel, oh, you can't handle motherhood, it's a bit overwhelming on my career, you pay the price to be a mother, yes, but I believe that the sacrifice can be well managed in such a way that you don't lose way too much when you could have just had a support system to help you in some areas. So that's the balance. Yes, you're paying a sacrifice to be a mother. You probably need to pay a house help. If you can't afford it, you need your neighbor, you need someone, you need to beg. Go through that, like she said, like Miss Wofai Samuel said. Go through whatever you need to do to be your best. So far as it's not illegal, so far as it's not against your Christian or whatever belief, just do what you have to do, not in a bad way, but do what you have to do. Take that step you have to take. Do whatever you have to do. So there's no excuse. Doesn't mean that we cannot sympathize with you, we cannot understand you, we can stand with you, but you need to do what you have to do. So I tried to juxtapose several issues into the statements that I made, and I really hope you understood. I'm really talking particularly to that mother. Being a mother is never a disadvantage. Your child is always a blessing. Your child cannot be the reason for lack of professionalism in whatever extent. Your child cannot be the reason why you say you did not achieve your dream. So you have to find out a way to achieve what you need to achieve and keep praying to God that gave you that child. God, you gave me this child, so God help me. God move me. God create a support system for me. God lift me. Those statements you make, this child cannot be the
All right.
reason why I will not achieve. You understand? So thank you so much,
All
sir,
right.
for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Nene. Lastly, we're going to take a question for you, Wafai. Just really last question, and it's in the chat box. It says, "Thank you very much. The session was impactful and eye-opening. However, how best will you recommend, or should I say, how can an introverted person network? How can a growing individual grow a formidable and quality network with people of big milestone without being underrated?" So, in just a few words, can you answer that? Well, take call it a day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In summary, so it's a very peculiar situation in Africa, right? It's mostly the same skin color. We're not racist biased in Africa, but we don't give each other a chance. We're very quick to underrate people because they're not well dressed. They're not dressed like in gigantic, fancy ways. They're not driving big cars. So we never really give them a chance. It's worse when you're an introvert. Introvert, like you keep to yourself. Everybody faced underration at some point or the other. I didn't just begin and everybody believed in me. So three simple steps, which is generic. I think if you put this into practice, try it in the next couple of months and let's see if it works. Step number one, you don't necessarily need everybody. You don't need five people to change your life. Just one person you connect with who believes in what you're selling, who believes in you, who can tutor you, can change your life. It was just one person who gave my first big break internationally, and so many other platforms started approaching me. So you've spoken to five people. Pay attention to the body language. Who is that one person? To a reasonable extent, that believes in what you're doing, that is confident around you, that is not putting you down. Focus all your attention and that energy on that person, trying to prove yourself, what you do, showing the person what you can do, the value you can bring to the table. Instead of going to a million and one people and focusing your attention on them, they are belittling you, looking down on you, putting you down. You're trying as much as you can to prove yourself to these people. They're not getting what you're selling. You're not getting the level of attention that you want. That's so much of effort. That's so much of, I'm a very time conscious person. That's so much of energy. Focus that energy on one person. If you can find just one person out of the pool of these people in that room that can listen to you, you walk into a room and everybody's busy, that nobody has your time. But there has to be one person you say hello to, who says hi back, and you try to talk to the person and they want to listen to what you're doing. Focus all your energy, all your attention on that person. Then the second thing is, yes, indeed you're an introvert. You don't mingle, you don't talk, but you're not at the level of, Bill Gates' children and all these people where they can't say anything. They don't necessarily need to say anything and everybody listens to them, the Jacobi and the likes, right? You have to speak. You have to showcase what you do. You have to come out of that shell, your introverted shell. A lot of people say, oh, even if you're an introvert, it doesn't really matter. Oh, no, it does. In our world of today, it does matter. You have to be outspoken. It's the Sorosuke generation. You can't afford to keep quiet. You can't afford to be calm. You must try as much as you can to come out of your shell, to showcase what you do, to speak to people for help. Person way hungry, then they open mouth chop. Somebody that needs help is the person who requests for help. You can't be quiet, staying in your shell, and you expect help to come. So two things: when you're in that network of people, when you're in that room, when you're in that WhatsApp conversation, try to locate a person that is interested in what you do, somebody to an extent that wants to give you the attention that you want without putting you down, and focus all your energy on that person if they're worth your while. Thank you. You are muted. Mr. Jonah, you're muted.
So sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right. What I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Ofi. Thank you very much for it's been an amazing session. I want to believe. I think the bottom line and the bedrock of everything that has been said this evening is be intentional. You need to have that big picture in front of you, and you have to be intentional. So final note, I want to say thank you to everyone: Bukola, Abraham, Basi, Chinaye, Chiwendu, Faith, Jafet, Jennifer, Liana, Olalekan, Philomena, my family and friends that have joined. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Ofi, thank you very much. I'm going to give you a call right away after this session. So do have a wonderful week ahead and stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. I look forward to connecting further with everybody. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.